Hi, I'm Charles.
And I'm Caroline. We got married in June and now we're sailing around the Atlantic Ocean for the year. Come join us as we document our journey.
In this episode, we cross from La Rochelle to Lisbon. We start off with fairly light winds, which descends into force 7 winds and 4-meter swells. Just fueling up in La Rochelle before heading to A Coruna. We originally set off from La Rochelle to go to A Coruna in Spain. However, on the first day we realised that we needed to be in Lisbon in 7 days for my sister's wedding and couldn't possibly make it to A Coruna and spend a day or two there, or else we would get to Lisbon too late. So as soon as we left, we decided to change the destination and doubled our trip from 3 to 6 days. So it's the first afternoon of crossing Biscay. We motored out this morning and refueled in La Rochelle, and we've been motor sailing ever since. There's not a huge amount of wind, but we've managed to motor sail. If I can get this to zoom in, that's where we left. We're now there. We've got 317 miles to go to our next waypoint, which we're nearly there. Apart from that, we were visited by a little bird. I've been having some naps. It's about 20 past 6 in the evening on the first day. Karen and I are still enjoying a nice sail. We've just managed to get the engine off and the sails up, which is nice. For the hydrovane working away, and we've just written the log, settling in for the evening. I think we'll do 3 hours on each, so I'll be doing 9 till 12, Caroline 12 till 3, and me 3 till 6. I'm sure the camera flattens it out. There are some quite large swells coming just forward of the beam. We're just riding up on one now. I'm sure the camera won't pick it up. It's quite fun being on the top of a swell like now. You can see quite a long way. The wind's picked up a little bit, so we put a reef in the Genoa, in about 13 or 14 knots. But we're going 6.5 to 7 knots. Hydrovane's doing very well. It's the first evening of our trip across Biscay. It's the morning of day 2, after a decent night of wind. There are some large ocean rollers coming across. I doubt the camera will be able to pick it up, but a lovely morning today. We've got full sails out, the wind's just forward of the beam. And we've got the hydrovane doing its thing. Evening of day 2. We've been motor sailing for most of the day, the wind dropping this morning. Got the fishing rod out still not caught anything yet. Got a lovely sunset. It's the morning of the 3rd day. It's a bit fresher, the breeze today. It's just the sun rising. Hydrovane's working well. Fishing rod's still out. Nothing caught. We've got one reef in the Genoa and a full main up. Going about 13 knots true. I'm doing about 6 knots, just under 6 knots with a little bit of a lumpy sea. Evening of day 3. It's been quite a tough day. We've had quite squally conditions, really quite large seas, 4 meters. Unfortunately, the audio didn't come out very well because it was so windy. But that day we had been hit by squall after squall, with often 30, 35, almost 40 knots hitting us over the deck. We were often close hauled at the time, so it was really uncomfortable. Caroline had spent all of today and the last couple of days not feeling very well, and today she was sick as a dog, curled up in a fetal position in the saloon. Unfortunately, she didn't really recover until we got to Cascais 3 days later, so it was a very uncomfortable passage for her and quite a lot of sailing for me to do, especially when our autopilot packed up. The afternoon of day 4. We have crossed Biscay and we are heading down the last bit of the Spanish coast towards Portugal over there. There have been a lot of recent orca attacks just south of Lisbon, and now they've just turned up north of Lisbon. So we've decided to leave them well offshore, so we're going offshore, and most of the attacks occur onshore, so hopefully we'll be out of sight, out of mind for them. But it does mean going 50-60 miles out to sea and then hand-railing the Portuguese coast down to Lisbon, but hopefully that'll work. Just over there is Cape Finisterre, quite a famous cape. It's a shame we won't be able to see it up close, but hopefully we'll be in Lisbon in a couple of days. It's the afternoon of the 5th day. We're finally with the wind, and it's built a little bit above 10 knots. We are gull-winged, or goose-winged. This morning we had the cruising shootout, a little test out. It seemed okay, although with the swell it didn't remain full all the time. The water's turned a lovely blue, which will be really nice to be experienced in the next few weeks. The hydrovane's going well, dead downwind. Our electrical autopilot broke last night, so we had to do a bit of hand steering to the morning, and we're taking the hydrovane rudder off, so we had to put it back on this morning. We took it off initially in case the orcas came and bit the rudder. We've got a second rudder to put on. I've just let the camera run for a few seconds here. The winds continued to build, and so did the swell, and we soon had 4 meters behind us, and we were surfing downwind with our hydrovane doing all the steering. We felt a little unsafe, but the carriers looked after us very well.
Okay, we are sailing down the Portuguese coast, so it's time for a cheeky change of flag. This is Spain, and we've got Portugal. Hurrah!
For the end sign, this is how you fold them up. Fold them in half again. Uno mas, Spanish. And then you fold them in half one more time. And then it goes back in the box. I have a whole box of enzymes. I'll show you. Look at all these lovely enzymes. On the final morning, we arrived at the Portuguese coast. It was still quite windy and wavy, but we had avoided orcas, thankfully, and there was only a few mile run into Cascais, the harbour, and we completed our passage and managed to avoid getting attacked. In the next episode, we spend some time on repairs to the boat before setting off with our friend and mentor Nick down to the Canaries, which ended up being a 6-day passage. We catch our first big fish, but it turns out to give us quite a nasty surprise.